My wife started sleepwalking into the guest room every night where she'd text for hours. When I installed a camera, I caught her wide awake texting her personal trainer. She said, "I was unconscious, you can't blame me for dreams." I just nodded. Then I changed the locks while she was at her next sleepwalk session. She woke up to her belongings in the hallway. Hey viewers, real quick, only 8% of you watching are subscribed, and the channel's kind of stuck right now. If you enjoy these stories, hitting that subscribe button would really help us keep going. Thanks. So apparently my wife thinks I'm an idiot. Last month my wife Melissa started having these midnight adventures to our guest room. Always around 1 a.m., always shuffling down the hallway like some zombie from a bad horror movie. First time it happened, I followed her to make sure she was okay. Found her sitting on the guest bed in the dark, phone screen glowing, typing away like her life depended on it. For someone who was supposedly unconscious, her texting speed was pretty impressive. "Mel, you okay?" I whispered. She jumped about 3 feet in the air, phone flying onto the floor. "Oh my God, you scared me. I was sleepwalking again." Again? This was the first time I'd seen it. "What were you doing with your phone?" "I don't know, I was asleep. Must have grabbed it by accident." "Right. Sleep texting. That's definitely a real medical condition that affects people who happen to be married to suspicious husbands." She started doing this every single night. Same routine. Wait until she thinks I'm asleep, shuffle to guest room, spend 2 hours having the most active sleepwalking session in medical history. The walking part looked legit enough. Real slow, arms hanging loose, the whole zombie thing. But once she got to that guest room, she transformed into the most alert sleepwalker ever documented. I started timing it. 1 a.m. departure, back to bed around 3 a.m., like clockwork. Most consistent sleep disorder I've ever seen. "Maybe you should see a doctor about this sleepwalking thing," I suggested after week 2. "It's probably just stress from work. I'll mention it at my next physical." Week 3, I pretended to be asleep and watched her routine. The shuffling was definitely an act. Nobody walks that slowly unless they're trying not to wake someone up. Real sleepwalkers don't tiptoe. Week 4, I decided to investigate what was so important that it required 2 hours of unconscious phone time. Waited until she started her nightly zombie march, then crept down the hallway. Guest room door was cracked open just enough to see inside. There she was, sitting cross-legged on the bed, wide awake, typing furiously and occasionally covering her mouth to stifle giggles. Giggling while unconscious. Medical breakthrough right there. I watched for 20 minutes. She was completely alert, reading messages, responding, clearly having an animated conversation with someone. Either she had the most advanced sleepwalking condition ever recorded, or my wife was a lying piece of work. Next day, I brought up the sleepwalking again. "The weirdest thing happened last night. I thought I heard you talking in the guest room." "Really? That's so strange. I don't remember anything." "Yeah, sounded like you were having a conversation." "Maybe sleep talking along with the sleepwalking? Wow, that's concerning. I should definitely get that checked out. Should definitely get something checked out." The following weekend, I installed a small security camera in the guest room corner, angled to capture the bed area. Told Melissa it was for monitoring the house since we'd had some break-ins in the neighborhood. Technically not a lie. Someone was definitely breaking something. Monday night, showtime. Melissa does her Academy Award-winning sleepwalk performance, shuffles to the guest room, and immediately drops the act. Sits on the bed, turns on the phone, starts typing. The camera caught her clearly awake and alert for 2 solid hours. Lots of smiling, occasional quiet laughter, even adjusting her hair like she was on a video call at some point. Tuesday morning, I checked the footage. Crystal clear video of my wide-awake wife conducting what was obviously an intimate conversation. I couldn't see her phone screen clearly, but her body language said everything. That night, I confronted her. "Mel, I saw you in the guest room last night. You were definitely awake." "What?" "No, I was sleepwalking, I told you that. You were sitting up, texting, laughing. That's not sleepwalking. I was unconscious. Sometimes sleepwalkers can do complex activities without being aware, like having animated conversations. I guess so. I really don't remember any of it." Time to play my ace. "Who's Jake?" Her face went white. "What? Jake? You called out his name while you were supposedly unconscious last night." That was a lie, but her reaction told me everything. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Your personal trainer, Jake. The one you've been meeting with after hours." Another lie, but she was panicking now. "I don't know any Jake." "Melissa, I know about the extra training sessions. Someone saw you two at that coffee place downtown." Complete fabrication, but her guilty expression confirmed my suspicions. "It's not what you think." "So you do know Jake?" "He's just my trainer. We sometimes grab coffee after sessions." At 1 a.m.? What? No, during normal hours. Then why were you calling his name while unconsciously texting in our guest room? She stared at me, trying to figure out how to spin this. I must have been having dreams about work stuff. Sometimes people talk in their sleep. Dreams about your personal trainer? Maybe my subconscious was thinking about fitness goals. Fitness goals that required giggling and hair adjustments. Melissa, I have you on camera, clearly awake and alert. This isn't sleepwalking. I was unconscious the whole time. You can't blame me for what I do in my dreams. The audacity was impressive, caught red-handed and still claiming unconsciousness. So you're telling me you've been unconsciously conducting a relationship with Jake? It's not a relationship. I don't even remember doing anything. But you admitted to knowing him and getting coffee together. That's during the day. That's different. Different how? Because I'm awake during the day. And unconscious at night when you're clearly awake on camera. No answer to that one. Melissa, just tell me the truth. What's going on with Jake? Nothing is going on. I was sleepwalking, and if I happened to text someone while unconscious, that's not my fault. She was really going to stick with the sleepwalking defense. Bold strategy. Fine. Since this is a medical condition, I'm calling Dr. Morrison tomorrow to set up a sleep study. Pure panic across her face. That's not necessary. Really? Because unconscious texting sounds like a serious neurological issue. We should definitely get it documented. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about. So you don't want medical help for your condition? I think it's probably just temporary stress. But what if it gets worse? What if you start sleep driving to Jake's house? You're being ridiculous. I'm being concerned about my wife's mysterious brain disorder that makes her text other men while unconscious. She stormed off to the bedroom. No sleepwalking that night, interestingly enough. Apparently the medical condition cleared up as soon as I mentioned sleep specialists. But the next night she was back at it. Same routine, same guest room, same suspicious behavior. Time to end this charade. Update 1. 1 week later. Afternoon, while Melissa was at her training session, probably having a very conscious conversation with Jake, I called a locksmith and had all the exterior locks changed. Cost me $400, but worth every penny for the peace of mind. Then I started packing her belongings, not throwing them out, just boxing everything up neatly. Clothes, shoes, makeup, that expensive yoga equipment she never used. Everything went into labeled boxes and suitcases. That evening, Melissa came home to find her key didn't work. She called my phone from the front porch. My key isn't working. I had the locks changed. What? Why? Your belongings are packed and waiting by the front door. You can collect them whenever. What are you talking about? Let me in. I thought about what you said. You're right. You can't be held responsible for unconscious actions. So I unconsciously called a locksmith. That's not the same thing. Sure it is. I must have been sleepwalking when I packed your stuff. Can't be held responsible for my dreams. This is insane. You can't kick me out. I'm not kicking you out. I'm unconsciously securing my property. Totally different. She banged on the door for another 15 minutes before calling her sister to pick her up. An hour later, her mom called. What is this about you locking Melissa out? She's been having midnight medical episodes that require texting other men. Figured she should get proper treatment somewhere else. You can't just throw her out over a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. I have video evidence of her wide awake at 2 a.m. having intimate conversations while claiming to be unconscious. Video evidence? Security camera footage. Very clear documentation of her fake sleepwalking routine. Her mom got quiet. I need to talk to Melissa. Best night's sleep I'd had in months. No mysterious shuffling sounds, no phones glowing in guest rooms, no Academy Award performances in my hallway. Update 2, 3 weeks later. The aftermath has been predictable. Melissa's been staying with her sister and sending increasingly desperate messages about working things out. First it was denial. I really was sleepwalking and you're overreacting. Then bargaining. Maybe I was semi-conscious. We can work through this. Finally, partial admission. Okay, fine. I was awake, but nothing physical happened with Jake. Nothing physical, yet. Her friend Sarah called me, asking what really happened. Melissa says you kicked her out for having a medical condition. Sarah, did she mention her sleepwalking only happened when she wanted to text her personal trainer? She said you were being controlling about her sleep disorder. The sleep disorder that required 2 hours of conscious texting every night while pretending to be unconscious? Long pause. What do you mean pretending? I have security footage of her clearly awake, alert, and engaged in animated conversations while claiming to be sleepwalking. Are you serious? Dead serious. She'd shuffle down the hall like a zombie, then sit on the bed wide awake typing and laughing for 2 hours. That's not sleepwalking. That's what I told her. She insisted she was unconscious the whole time. Even after seeing video evidence? Especially after seeing video evidence, said I couldn't blame her for what she did in her dreams. Dreams where she consciously texted other men? Apparently so. Sarah said she was going to have a conversation with Mel about honesty. Good luck with that. Last week, Melissa showed up with her sister demanding to discuss things rationally. I talked to them through the door. There's nothing to discuss. You lied to me for over a month. I made a mistake, but we can fix this. You made a choice. Every single night you chose to sneak around and lie to my face about being unconscious. I was confused about my feelings. You were confused, so you faked a medical condition? Her sister jumped in. Maybe you could try marriage counseling. I'm not interested in counseling someone who thinks I'm stupid enough to believe unconscious adultery. It wasn't adultery, Melissa said. We were just talking. You were just talking to your personal trainer at 2 a.m. while pretending to be asleep and lying to your husband about having a neurological disorder. Nothing physical happened yet, but you were building up to it, and we all know it. We can work through this. We can't work through anything because you still haven't told me the truth about what was actually happening. I told you the truth. You told me you were unconscious. That was a lie. What else are you lying about? I'm not lying about anything else. Have you been meeting Jake outside the gym? Pause. We had coffee once. When? Last week. While you were telling me you didn't even remember texting him because you were unconscious? That was different, right? Conscious coffee dates and unconscious midnight texting. Makes perfect sense. They left without getting anywhere. Melissa's still claiming nothing serious happened, but admits to secret meetings while maintaining she was sleepwalking during late-night conversations. Final update, 2 months later. Melissa hired a lawyer last month demanding access to the house and claiming unlawful eviction. I forwarded her attorney's letter to my own lawyer along with copies of the security footage. My lawyer reviewed everything and called me back. The video evidence is pretty compelling. Shows clear deception over an extended period. What about her eviction claims? She's a spouse, not a tenant, and there's documented evidence of inappropriate conduct. You're protected under infidelity clauses, but the lock change was technically premature. Premature how? Should have gone through formal separation procedures first. But given the circumstances and video evidence, it's unlikely to cause problems. What's the timeline looking like? These things take months, sometimes over a year. But with her sleepwalking defense and video contradicting it, settlement negotiations should be straightforward. Meanwhile, Melissa's been busy rewriting history. Found out through Sarah that she's been telling everyone I became paranoid and controlling, kicked her out for having a sleep disorder. She's claiming you violated her privacy by recording her medical episodes, Sarah told me. Medical episodes where she was wide awake texting other men while lying about being unconscious? I know. I've seen the footage you showed me. Her story doesn't add up. What's she saying about Jake? That he was providing emotional support during a difficult time in her marriage. Emotional support that required midnight secrecy and fake medical conditions? That's what I asked her. She said you wouldn't understand the complexity of their connection. The complexity of cheating while pretending to be asleep? Pretty much. The divorce proceedings are moving slowly but steadily. Melissa's lawyer tried to argue that the security footage violated her privacy, but my lawyer pointed out that monitoring suspected infidelity in your own home is legal. Her sleepwalking defense fell apart when she couldn't produce any medical records documenting the condition. Turns out unconscious adultery isn't a recognized medical diagnosis. Best part came last month. Jake got a new job at a different gym across town. Apparently his old workplace received some complaints about inappropriate client relationships. Not from me, I never contacted them. But word gets around in the fitness community. Now Melissa's claiming I ruined Jake's career by spying on her medical condition. I didn't ruin anyone's career. I documented suspicious behavior in my own house. You violated my privacy. You violated our marriage while pretending to be unconscious. I wasn't pretending anything. Melissa, I have video of you clearly awake and alert for hours while claiming to be sleepwalking. Memory during sleep episodes can be complicated. So can honesty during marriage. But you seem to struggle with that concept. She's been living with her sister for 2 months now. Last I heard, they're getting tired of the drama and pushing her to find her own place. The house is peaceful without midnight shuffling sounds and mysterious guest room activities. Started seeing someone new who handles stress by talking to me directly instead of faking neurological disorders. Revolutionary concept. Sometimes the best revenge is just refusing to enable someone's elaborate lies. Melissa wanted to cheat while maintaining plausible deniability through fake medical conditions. She got caught, doubled down on an impossible story, and lost everything defending the indefensible. Turns out unconscious adultery has very conscious consequences. Who knew?